All right, so are you ready to dive into something a little creepy? Tonight we're asking, can objects absorb negative energy? And what happens if that object is, say, a car? A car with a seriously messed up past.
Sounds like a Stephen King novel.
You got it. We're going deep into Stephen King's Christine, where a vintage Plymouth Fury becomes, well, let's just say she becomes a terrifying force.
Fueled by something a lot darker than gasoline.
Exactly. And I think what's so scary about Christine is how King takes something that's supposed to represent freedom, like the classic American car.
Right. The open road, adventure, all that.
Yeah, and he twists it into like a symbol of obsession and revenge.
And ultimately total destruction.
Okay, so let me set the scene for you.
Yeah.
Arnie Cunningham, your typical high school kid, a little awkward, a bit of an outcast.
Okay.
But everything changes when he lays eyes on Christine.
Christine.
Christine, yeah.
Hmm.
This beat-up 1958 Plymouth Fury. Arnie falls head over heels.
Love at first sight.
But the kind of love that makes your friends want to stage an intervention.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
And right from the beginning, you get this feeling that something's off about Christine. Arnie, he pours all his time and money into fixing her up, but it's like it goes way beyond a normal hobby,
It's an obsession.
Totally. Have you ever felt that kind of pull towards something, like it starts to take over your life?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all have those things that can grab hold of us.
And King, he's so good at tapping into those anxieties. Cars, especially in the 50s, they represented progress and individuality, like you said.
Right.
But King flips that idea,
Yeah.
showing how those desires can become, well, destructive.
And he foreshadows Christine's dark side really early on.
Oh, yeah. Like how?
Well, think about that scene when Arnie buys Christine from Roland LeBay, the previous owner. LeBay is just creepy, right?
Oh, yeah. Total creep.
And he tells Arnie, she'll give you an earful. At the time, it seems like he's talking about the engine.
Right. Makes sense.
But looking back, it's like a warning about the forces Arnie's messing with.
Ooh, that's good. And then there's how Christine gets restored. There are these moments where it's like she's fixing herself.
Almost like she has her own will, her own agenda.
Yeah, exactly. The odometer running backward, the radio only playing those creepy oldies stations. It's all so unsettling.
King drops these hints, these little clues that something way more sinister is going on. And that feeling just intensifies when we learn about Christine's past.
Oh, right. LeBay, he wasn't exactly Mr. Rogers, was he?
No, not at all. He was bitter, angry, and it's like all that negativity seeped into the car itself. His daughter choked to death in the back seat, and then his wife.
What happened to his wife?
She committed suicide right there, inside Christine.
Oh, wow. So it's like the car's been soaked in all this tragedy and rage.
Exactly. Like it's become this repository for LeBay's darkest emotions.
And Dennis, Arnie's best friend, our narrator, he senses that something's not right, doesn't he?
Oh, Dennis is the voice of reason. He's the one who sees the danger, while everyone else is blinded by Christine's, well, her allure. He even starts having these vivid nightmares about Christine.
Nightmares, huh?
Yeah. And he feels this intense dislike coming from her, like she's threatened by him.
Like she sees him as competition for Arnie.
Maybe. But it's Dennis who brings up this idea of LeBay's lingering resonance.
Lingering resonance, what's that?
Well, imagine it like this. Every emotion, every event, it leaves an imprint, a kind of psychic stain. And that stain, that resonance, it can stick around,
Even in a car.
especially in something like Christine that's been through so much.
So it's like Christine is haunted not by a ghost, but by all this leftover negativity.
Exactly. And it makes you think, what about the things we have around us every day? Do they carry echoes of their past owners, their joys, their sorrows, their darkest moments?
That's a seriously creepy thought.
It is, isn't
Hmm.
it? And it's just the beginning of the nightmare that is Christine.
Okay, so we've got this car, Christine, right? This 58 Fury, and she's basically a sponge for bad vibes.
Absorbing all that negativity from LeBay.
Exactly. And you know what's really freaky? As Arnie spends more time with Christine, he starts to change.
Change how?
Well, like physically, he loses weight, his acne clears up, he even starts dressing like he's straight out of Grease or something.
Okay, so a bit of a makeover.
Yeah, but it's not exactly a glow up. He becomes way more isolated, aggressive, like his temper is always on a hair trigger.
It's almost like he's being possessed by the ghost of James Dean, but with a really nasty attitude.
Yeah, spot on. It's like Christine is feeding on Arnie's insecurities,
Yeah.
his desire to be noticed, to be powerful.
And she gives him that power, but it comes with a hefty price tag. He loses his humanity,
Yeah.
becomes a reflection of LeBay's rage.
It's like she's turning him into LeBay 2.0.
Yeah, it's chilling.
Yeah.
And Christine, she's not just content with changing Arnie. She wants revenge. Revenge on anyone who ever did him wrong.
Right, like Buddy Repperton and his gang, the guys who trashed Christine.
They really messed with the wrong car. Because Christine, she doesn't just play around.
No kidding. What happens?
The violence, it escalates so fast. First, she totals Buddy's car, then she goes after the gang themselves.
Oh, man.
There's this insane chase scene through the town. King calls it Squanto Kills. And it leaves a path of destruction and, well, multiple deaths.
Christine is a straight-up killer.
And it's not just that she kills, it's like she targets people
Yeah.
with this cold, calculated precision.
Like she's erasing them, making them disappear.
Exactly. It's like she's judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
And her sense of justice is seriously twisted.
It makes you wonder, is it Christine acting alone? Or is it LeBay's ghost behind the wheel, calling the shots from beyond the grave?
It's a question King leaves open. It's part of what makes the book so disturbing.
Yeah.
But what's clear is Christine is more than just some haunted car.
What is she then?
I'd say she's a force of nature, a whirlwind of vengeance, and completely unstoppable. She even regenerates herself, like she repairs any damage she takes.
So like some kind of demonic Terminator car.
Basically. And as Christine gets more powerful, Dennis, Arnie's friend,
Yeah.
he becomes more determined to stop her.
And how's he planning to do that?
He teams up with Lee, Arnie's girlfriend. She finally sees how dangerous Arnie's become. And they come up with this plan.
What's the plan?
Lure Christine to this garage and crush her with a giant truck.
Wow. Sounds kind of risky.
It is. Desperate, even. But they don't really have any other options at this point. And that final confrontation, oh man.
What happens?
Picture this. A dark garage, everything's super tense. And Christine, this gleaming red monster, surrounded by all this wreckage. It's pure nightmare fuel.
And I bet King cranks up the creep factor even more.
It does. Just when you think it can't get scarier, he throws in a new twist.
Ghosts.
Ghosts. Yeah, like LeBay's family. They appear right before Dennis and Lee are about to crush Christine.
No way.
Their faces are pale, mournful, like they're trapped inside Christine, even in death.
That's so messed up.
It's genius, though. King blurs that line between the living and the dead. It makes you question, is Christine just LeBay's spirit? Or has she developed her own consciousness, like a twisted echo of his anger and grief?
Ooh, good question.
And as Dennis and Lee fight to destroy Christine, you can just feel how desperate they are. It's not just a car they're battling. It's this force of pure evil.
So do they succeed? Do they manage to stop Christine?
Well, they managed to crush her, yeah. Reduce her to this mangled pile of metal.
Mm-hmm.
But is she truly gone? That's the real question.
So it's a cliffhanger ending?
Yeah, King leaves us with more questions than answers. We know Dennis survives, but he's definitely scarred.
Trauma for life, probably.
For sure. But what about Arnie? Did he die in that crash? Or did some part of him, the part warped by Christine, did that somehow escape?
And what about LeBay's resonance? That negative energy, is it still out there somewhere?
That's what makes Christine so effective. It stays with you long after you finish the last page. It makes you wonder, what else is out there, lurking in the shadows?
You know what really gets under my skin about Christine? Is how King takes these everyday things, like places and stuff we see all the time,
Yeah.
and he makes them creepy. Like he twists them into something totally sinister.
Absolutely. He's a master of that. Like Christine herself, she's not some, monster from another dimension.
Right.
She's a car, a classic American car. And for a lot of people, those cars represent good memories.
Freedom, nostalgia, all that.
Exactly. But King, he zooms in on certain details. The chrome, the grille, the headlights, things that should be normal.
Yeah.
But he describes them in a way that makes them seem predatory, almost animalistic,
It's like he's saying that evil can be hiding anywhere, like right under our noses.
And even something as simple as a smell can become terrifying in King's hands.
Oh, yeah, that weird smell that Dennis and Lee keep noticing.
That moldering stench. It's not just an old car smell. It's something deeper, darker, like the smell of decay.
Ugh, yeah. And then there's the music.
The oldies playing on Christine's radio.
Yeah. It's so creepy how those happy, nostalgic songs become twisted when they're blasting from this, murder car.
Totally. It's like King is saying, hey, the past isn't always as innocent as we like to think.
Right. And even the town where it all goes down, Libertyville. On the surface, it seems like Any town, USA.
Your typical small town.
But King does this thing where he makes it feel isolated and claustrophobic, like especially during the winter with all that snow.
It's almost like the town itself is part of the horror. Like it's feeding off the fear.
Ooh, I like that. And that feeling, that sense of unease, it spreads to the reader.
Oh, for sure. King doesn't shy away from making you uncomfortable. He wants you to realize that this kind of evil could exist anywhere, even in your own town.
So we've covered a lot here. Arnie's crazy obsession, Christine's rampage, LeBay's creepy influence. But I want to circle back to that question we started with.
About objects and negative energy.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible? Can objects absorb those bad vibes?
Well, Christine certainly makes you consider it. It makes you think about the stuff we own. You know, our cars, our phones, our clothes.
Do they hold on to pieces of us, our emotions?
And what happens to those traces when we're gone? Do they just vanish? Or do they linger, waiting to attach themselves to someone new?
Man, that is a chilling thought. It makes you look at the things around you differently.
Definitely gives you a new perspective. And if you're looking for a story that really digs into those questions, well, you got to read Christine.
It's a classic for a reason. And hey, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the dark side of Stephen King's Christine.
Always a pleasure.
And folks, next time you get in your car, maybe just take a quick glance in the rearview mirror. You never know what might be lurking back there.